All right, this is Robert Radcliffe with the Radcliffe Group at Sotheby's International Realty. And so just to put a time stamp on this video, it's January 31st, 2025. And I'm in sort of a somber mood, as many of us are, because we unfortunately on the west side in the Palisades, where my office has been for over 30 years, and a resident of Malibu, we have just been through a horrendous, catastrophic, devastating event, the fire, the Palisades fire. And what prompted, as many of us have experienced, wondering about our homeowner insurance. So immediately thought of Robert Feldman here, who I'm going to introduce in just a moment. And I'm so happy that you're here. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad information.
Bad information that you're going to clear up.
Yep, we're going to get rid of it.
And I just so appreciate it. And let me do a quick plug, which I didn't even tell you I was going to do for you.
Oh, thank you.
One of the reasons why I wanted Feldman here is that, over the years that we've known each other, there have been times that I've come to you with insurance stuff, and you gave me advice and led me and guided me in areas that it wasn't even relating to you per se as far as on business. It was really just being of help, of helping me, saying, listen, I can't help you right now with that, but I know who can.
Absolutely.
And that, I like to think of myself as the same in my business. Like I'm here to help clients, even if I'm not participating in the deal.
Yep.
And that's one of the things I just thought was very admirable and honorable about you.
That's great. Thank you very much. It's a huge compliment. Thank you.
I wasn't going to tell you I was going to say that. But
exactly.
I always think that when I call you, I'm like, this guy's a stand-up guy.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pass the mic, per se, over to Feldman here in a moment, because he's going to be able to give us some information for homeowners as to the 5 steps. What were we calling it?
5 steps to recovery.
Thank you. 5 steps to recovery, which is also on your Instagram, right?
Yes, it is.
Do you want to give that handle really quick?
We actually had a fun one for everyone out there. We did it originally for the realtors. It's Bob, so B-O-B dot B as in barbecue dot Q-U-E.
So should I plug your barbecue too?
Because
it is phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you. And that's not the reason why we put it on there. We did it originally because we just have so many realtors, just as you, that are on the website. We actually did our WOWs one, which we'll talk about in a minute. And when we put it on there, everyone when I put it on the barbecue one, everyone was all over the 5 steps to recovery in a catastrophe. Robert, it was the greatest thing in the world. We were laughing, going, okay, we're going to put everything up on the barbecue one because it's just a lot of fun.
Well, it's good to actually have a genuine laugh during such a somber time,
That's true.
Right? Wow, God, I've just been in such disbelief and literally just sick to my stomach. I have hundreds of clients without their home. They lost their home. My first home, which was on Al Morial Drive in the Huntington, I happened to drive by it on that Tuesday morning, and it's gone. And some of the other places I've lived in the Palisades are gone.
It's just not good. The problem when you have a major catastrophe, and I should probably start off with my background. For those that are out there, my name is Robert Feldman. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called WOWs Insurance. What makes us unique is we are a wholesaler. So it's a little different than with the normal situation as a street broker. We have over 3,000 brokers, insurance brokers, that are appointed with us either directly or through associations. And we bring insurance programs or companies in for homeowners insurance in California. So we're on the front lines. We're in every major fire. My background prior to was over 25 years writing high fire zones across California. From the tips of Shasta all the way down to the border to Mexico, we were writing homeowners insurance, bringing carriers in. We are now a wholesaler. We do some retail, but primarily wholesale to make sure we bring carriers in, and got a frontline approach on this one. I hate to say it, there's a lot of people that have lost their homes, and it's just crazy.
It is. So I want to go into that 5 step to recovery in 2 seconds, but also because if I were watching this right now, like literally be grabbing a pen and paper to write down your contact info.
Absolutely.
How would they reach you?
Easiest thing is, first of all, our website's WOWS, WOWS, insurance.com. I always laugh, Robert. Everyone forgets the S. And then I get a text message or a call. Hey, Robert, I can't get to your website. Right? So Robert, and my email, by the way, is robert@WOWS, WOWS, insurance.com.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So let's go jump into it. Not segue on how great your barbecue is, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's a different podcast.
Yeah.
That'll be a different podcast for a different time. Hey, maybe we could pass this a little bit. We can get into that kind of thing. We'll have a fun one.
It's
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. So 5 steps to recovery.
Yep.
Let's help our people out here.
We built the 5 steps of recovery really as a way. About 15, 20 years ago, we were being in every major fire. We started seeing a pattern of what you need to do with insurance companies in order to progress or speed up the recovery process. And why I say that is obviously we've had everything from the Napa fires to Santa Barbara fires, every fire that's been in California for the last 25 years, seeing what works, what doesn't work. So we built the 5 steps, and it's a chain. So what I always say is a chain of events. 5 steps, it's a chain. You don't go to step 4. You have to go through all the steps, 1 through 5. By doing so, as I mentioned actually before we got started, we already helped consumers. Here we are, literally weeks within the fire, receiving a lot, if not all of their proceeds of their insurance policy.
Okay.
We had one client that was on the California Fair Plan receive over $1 million within 4 days of the fire starting. The fire wasn't even contained yet, but followed these steps so perfectly that the California Fair Plan started issuing payments to him.
So step 1.
Step 1 is going to sound stupid, Robert. And believe it or not, as of yesterday, here we are 3 weeks removed from the start of the fires. We had somebody that was referred to me from a realtor, referred me a client, a consumer, it's not a client, that had not yet filed their claim. They're a total loss. And Robert, it's horrific. When someone loses their home, and you're experiencing this now, for a lot of your friends and family that are involved in this, it is about as close to losing a really close family member there is. And the reason why I say this is we're lucky we're dressed in our clothes right now, but if God forbid, right, we're sitting in this and making this podcast, you don't have another pair of shoes to wear. We lost our homes.
Oh, just a quick, I live in, as mentioned, my first home on Almareal Drive in the Huntington burned in this Palisades fire. It was so sad to hear. I'm in Malibu in Sarah Retreat now, and we had the Franklin fire, which 2 homes on my street, one 2 doors away and one 4 doors away, burned to the ground. And during that fire, I experienced, because I wasn't sure if my home was there, walking through all of that. Like,
oh my God, it's
oh my God.
And so I went through the Woolsey.
Yep.
I live in Oak Park, Westlake Village, and blew through me before it went to Malibu. And so just living this firsthand, the steps are so important because the number 1 step is filing the claim. And people don't realize this. For weeks, they don't file claims. And so getting the claim filed is really important. Second, a part of that first step is not just getting the claim filed, but also getting the claim number assigned, which is usually what happens immediately. And then within 24 to 48 hours, they're assigned an adjuster.
Okay.
Now, one of the things I say to everybody out there right now is really, it sounds crazy. And when people are really distressed in this situation, it's a stressful moment and tempers can get crazy. Adjusters are human beings just like us.
Right.
So they're going to be overwhelmed.
Right.
So one of the things we've done in these 5 steps is really work with consumers about why you need to do everything to make the job of the adjuster so easy.
Yeah.
If you make it easy for an adjuster, you're going to get things taken care of so much faster than if you're not, or if they can't get a hold of you or the different things. So first step, file the claim, get the adjuster. Second step is actually the most important step of the 5. It's certifying your home as a total loss.
Does the adjuster do that? How is that determined?
So, great question. So what happens, Robert, is if the insurance company's process, now that there's so much a volume of, they need proof that the house is a total loss. What we've done for years is, and I got in trouble with the Woolsey fire. I was originally getting in there a little early, let's just say, and was able to go and take pictures of the homes that they're total loss and send them to claims to get them certified as a total loss. This fire, as crazy as it sounds, CAL FIRE had a humongous improvement. And a lot of people don't realize this. With the CAL FIRE website, you could actually go to type in an address, and it would show you a picture of the house, whether it was destroyed, partially damaged, or standing.
In real time, or
And
how?
It
how long
wasn't in
ago?
real time. They were updating it pretty accurately.
Okay.
And what was incredible about that was we were taking those pictures and taking the pictures from the CAL FIRE and uploading into insurance companies and getting the process of getting money started.
Move it faster.
Moves are faster.
Okay.
And so what happens once you have that done? So you have the adjuster, you have the claim number, you certify the total loss, and it can be simply as the picture, and making sure that you in writing with an email to the adjuster saying, "Here are pictures showing my house is gone, it's lost. Please certify this home as a total loss."
Okay. So first step, file the claim.
Yep.
get in contact with the adjuster.
Yep.
As my oldest son used to say to me, Dad, I realize when you're nice to people, you just get a lot more help from others.
Exactly.
So be nice to your adjuster.
Yep.
That person's a human being. And then certify that the house
Is total loss.
Yeah.
Once you have that done, that opens up the third step, which is start of the recovery really part. Because once you have it certified as a total loss, you're able to sign long-term leasings. So until you certify a total loss, you're supposed to be in like hotels or temporary housing. So the faster you can imagine you certify your house,
right,
the faster you can be. You can get into long-term housing.
Right.
And housing, as you and I both know, is going to be scarce. I mean, you can't displace this many people from two different communities to get really going at this point to get to housing. So that's what's a big part of it. Plus, at the same time, the insurance companies are going to pay 25% of that additional living expense coverage and also 25% of the contents coverage. Start getting the shoes, as we talk about, and pants, and start getting you going in that process. Now, the fourth step, Robert, is going to be the interesting one, and people believe it's way too early, but it's really not, is the fourth step is actually hiring or starting to work with and starting to put together and hire a architect, a licensed architect. And the reason why it's important to have a licensed architect is you need to start to design the plans and get the plans going. Well, like everything else, you can imagine there's only a certain amount of licensed architects. So getting out in front, getting going. The insurance company, once you receive the cost analysis from the architect to build your plans, that's a coverage under your homeowner's insurance policy. They're going to process. Again, making this easy for the adjuster.
Right.
You sent them the picture. Now you're sending them the bid for the architect. It makes it very easy for the adjuster to move forward. Once you have that fourth step and you have your architectural plans, you can move to the final step, which is working with a builder, general contractor. You can get the bid from the general contractor for what the cost of the rebuild is, and that can be submitted to the insurance company to receive the 100% of the benefits of your policy at that point, or to policy limits, is what I would say, if necessary. There are some consumers that will have enough coverage. I don't think it's a lot, is what I'm going to say. It's a terrible sense. Because when you have an event like this, the cost to rebuild explodes, as you and I both know. There's a cost to rebuild if one house burns versus thousands of houses burn. So it's just different.
Yeah, no, trust me, I'm very aware of it. And the reason I mentioned at the beginning, as far as the Franklin fire, the homes burning on my street, that I went through that process, that mental, emotional process of thinking, I think I might have lost my home.
Yeah,
I remember watching the newscasters on my street on Sarah Road saying, and there's more homes burnt along the way. And I'm like, is one of those mine?
You hold your breath.
Oh, dude, that's
you
an
turn the
understatement.
turn the corner onto your street.
Yep. And there's the house.
And and you're just like,
thank God.
You're just,
Literally, thank you, God.
Yep.
For the home being here. So again, my thoughts are to those that lost their house. I went through the mental anguish of what that would have been like, and it's so sad.
Yep.
So these 5 steps, awesome. That's great. Speed lining, this process as fast as you can.
Yep.
Being in touch, obviously, with your insurance broker, maybe in the future, hopefully with you.
Well, we're also, again, so we help support. So there are some companies that we will write through as a retail situation, but primarily we're a wholesale. But anyone out there needs to realize, and I've said this, and Robert, you and I talked about this in the beginning. Since this fire broke out, we've figured out probably somewhere between 200 to 300 consumers that are not clients that I'm just helping.
Right. And
because bottom line is, this is an all hands on deck moment. If someone's confused, or if they're not able to get a hold of their broker, if they're not able to do things, we will step up over and over and over again. Because bottom line is, it's these moments when it's the moment, you have to stay. It's a moment of truth.
Yep. Feldman, that's what I love about you.
Oh, thank you.
You're a good man. All right, so those are the 5 steps of recovery. One of the things that, part for me too, where I was kind of freaking out was not just the fact that I was going to have to get new shoes, clothes, everything. I'm like millions underinsured because I was one of the 40,000, right? 40,000 that State Farm had bumped, right? And I got that letter, and my policy shifted to Fair Plan. In October, just a couple months prior to all this. I'm like, oh my God, the timing of this is horrible. Can you share with us, do you see anything getting better for us?
Yes. So we very successfully brought in 3 separate insurance companies now.
Okay.
as a wholesaler that are starting to write a lot of the areas that we are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
The real big problem with Cal Fair Plan is there's a bill that was passed a number of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's AB 2756. And what's dangerous about this bill was it requires an insured
Mm-hmm.
to be insured to value within 80% at the time of loss. Now, the key word is
Wait.
time of loss.
Okay.
So, not when you wrote the policy or bound the policy,
Mm-hmm.
but when the actual loss occurs. So, why it's important to know that is if you don't have that 80%, so simple math, Cal Fair Plan goes out and surveys your house
Mm-hmm.
after the loss and says it's $1 million to rebuild. Even number, right? I always like when
Right.
even numbers. Well, they then revert back and look at the insurance policy. If you don't have $800,000 of structure coverage,
Mm-hmm.
80%.
Mm-hmm.
If you're $799, you fail this clause. The insurance policy reverts to what's called actual cash value, and it's depreciated over a 25-year table. The really scary thing that's going to happen to a lot of consumers in the Palisades that are on the California Fair Plan. And there's an estimate that roughly 11% of the homes that were burned, a lot lower than people believe, are on Cal Fair Plan. If you're on the Cal Fair Plan and you fail that clause, you could receive little or no money from the policy.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
So to be in touch with you,
Yes,
you know,
we've been unwinding a ton of this.
I bet.
Yep.
I bet. So moving forward for the future, as far as homeowners insurance.
Yep.
And you mentioned that you think things may look a little bit better for us.
Yes, actually, the really scary and sad thing is we were so excited. We launched.
Close to it.
I mean, gosh, we have 3 companies coming in right now. Which is, by the way, they're still coming in.
Right.
So the
okay.
good news is we were able to keep them on the ledge, so to keep them going backwards. At the same time, we have our own program, WOWs, that's launching for the high value homes, which will re-engineer insurance in California, which we're pretty excited about. That policy, actually, the WOWs program, will be the first policy in the history of California we could find that will be fully transferable from sellers to buyers.
Wow.
It becomes
Whoa.
So
Wait, time out.
yeah, so that's a really big thing.
That's a major, because I'm a real estate agent,
Yep.
to be able to share that when a client's selling a home.
Yes.
Is that the insurance policy going to be transferable?
Yes.
That's what I
so
just heard?
the WOWs program.
The WOWs through you.
Yes, the one where we're bringing for high value.
Drum roll, boom.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Well, and because what we're
That's
looking
a big deal.
it's to stabilize the market.
Right.
And so what happens is when you do things like creative approach, one of the great things of becoming a wholesaler is we're what's called an MGA wholesaler. So I'm actually able to create programs. I work with London, the big reinsurance companies you'll see in London, like the Lloyd Syndicates, Munich Re, all the different companies. So when I'm working with them, we're looking at building creative ways of creating programs that are not just good for the insurance company, but also great for the consumer.
That is so huge. That's amazing. And I hope and pray that that comes into place, because it's a game changer.
It's a game changer. And and it's kind of terrible to say this, but I hope everyone copies me.
Yeah.
I deal with multiple insurance companies.
Right.
I think it's what needs to change.
Yeah.
So what happens is 25 years, I would jokingly say, being in every major fire, I can tell insurance companies what works, and I can tell you what doesn't work. The next frontier we're going to really get into is what's called fire hardening.
Okay.
And that's going to be really the biggest animal in this game. The reason for it is there are companies that and by the way, I'm not a part of. There's a great company called Komodo. I was looking, just researching. They have a fully biodegradable, non-toxic chemical that's made out of orange peels. And I was reading about them, and it makes the house not able to burn. And it's very reasonable in cost. So you can have it put on in August, September, October. It'll last. The only negative of it is if you get a really big rainstorm like we just had, it washes it away.
Right.
So you're going to want to time it a little bit.
Right.
But that kind of approach of using this kind of thing is an approach. Another company I think is spectacular is a company called BurnBot. BurnBot, they almost look like mini Tesla trucks. And it's fire mitigation where it goes over and burns the brush. But what it does is there's no smoke. It has water and puts the smoke and revitalizes the ground.
Wow, that's awesome.
So these are all mitigation things. There's hundreds of mitigation things that we're going to be talking
I
about
hope
going
they all
forward.
come running to the
Yep.
market.
And so that's what we have to have.
Yeah, for sure.
We have to. Because insurance companies can't continue to have, there's
These
an
huge
estimation,
losses.
$50 billion,
Right.
$100 billion. I mean, we don't know what the tab's going to be. You can't continue it. If you do, everyone, a 2,000 square foot house is going to have a $100,000 policy.
Right.
And we can't get there. So there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to collectively do as a group to mitigate. Our Palisades fire, one of the big things, I love to hike. It's one of the things I love to do. I hike locally here in Westlake Village, but I've gone and hiked through the Getty. It's all these beautiful trails back there where the fire pretty much went through and originated. And the really negative thing about it is there's really two parts of a fire if you think about it. You have an element. So fire is fire.
Right.
You have an element, wind, that's stirring the fire and pushing the fire.
Brush.
And then you have a fuel line. We're going to have to re-engineer how we look at fuel lines, because what happens is there's a lot of the fuel lines in California that have not been touched in 30 years. And so you can't have I use a terrible analogy here. It's like the Olympics, the long jump event. Imagine if they changed the long jump event where the person had to stand at the edge of the board and jump.
Right.
Not going to go very far.
Yeah.
But you give them, 100 feet, 200 feet?
Yeah.
And they can sprint to the board and jump, fly forward. They're going a great distance. Really, the Palisades fire did that. It almost is almost like a burning ball that was rolling through the areas, getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And because the wind was blowing so hard, it blew the embers from miles. So it was not only the fire that was blowing right in front of them, hitting the houses, but you have almost a backdrop for 2 to 3 miles of embers flying in the air and hitting houses.
Right.
Where if you take these fuel lines out, it's a humongous difference.
Yeah, and that's another rabbit hole that we won't go into as far as commentary on brush clearance and how that should have been done.
Of course.
Prior to the fires.
But going forward, it's going to be very
forward,
important.
I guess that's all we can do is look forward.
Well, and there's a lot of talk. People believe it's not very insensitive for the environment. But what's funny is you really study this, Robert, it's so very important. There are so many plants that we have native to California that don't seed.
The native Indians used to do burn control.
Yes, they did. They would light between between camps. But what's interesting is a lot of our plants, there's a lot of trees that the seedlings don't open up unless it's a certain temperature or fire. So what's crazy is, and there's a concern about animals and things, and I'm 100%, these mitigation things we're talking about doing are very animal friendly. What happens when we have a fire that's the Palisades? What do you believe happened to all the animals between the Getty and the things?
Right.
They're all gone.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
Yes,
as
it
far
is.
as comments
Well,
on what could be done, what should be done,
I think
and
it's a
let's hope
mitigation.
will be done moving forward.
I think that'd be a good one for the future one.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Hey, Feldman, dude, you are awesome. You're great at what you do.
Oh, thank you.
Besides being a great guy, besides a mean barbecue.
Thank you. That's important. That's important, everybody.
A mean barbecue.
Yep. And everyone on there following the barbecue one, just follow just for fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great things. Everyone out there, please tell me what's your favorite one. Please do me a favor, by the way. If you're listening to this and you can go on there, if you see the 5 steps, make a comment, share it everywhere. I want everyone to see it. And then enjoy the barbecue pictures down below.
And that's what this is about, for people to share, learn, and hopefully benefit as far as the knowledge. And again, that last part, knowledge. You are incredibly knowledgeable in your field, probably in all fields, right? But definitely insurance in your lane.
I'm a two-trick pony. Two-trick pony, Robert. I'm good at insurance. I'm good at barbecue. Yeah,
I was joking about, I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses.
Exactly it. Exactly it.
Hit me up on my strengths. Maybe not the weaknesses.
A good thing is at least I know my weakness. I know where to go to get to them.
Good point. Good point.
Yep.
All right. So once again, let the viewer know how to reach you. Phone number.
Again, my name is Robert Feldman, CEO and co-founder of Wows Insurance. You can find me online, wowsinsurance.com, WOWS insurance.com. My personal email is robert@wows, WOWS insurance.com.
All right, Feldman, great job.
Thank you.
Great to be here. I'm glad we did this. This is Robert Radcliffe with the Radcliffe Group at Sotheby's International Realty. Sure hope that you found some benefit in this video. And in regards to architects, contractors, all those vendors,
please.
Yeah, you can reach out to me. I can put you in touch with Ton. I'm not part of it, compensated in any way, just putting you in touch with good people
That's what we're doing.
That can help you out.
We're all doing that. That's why I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, for sure. And I can be reached at 317-9900, and all of my credentials online at robertradcliffe.com. Thanks for watching, and we hope that we were helpful today.
Thank you.